You guys are not gonna believe this.
We were just in town and we found this poster. What? How is that possible?
My brother and I live in the Southern Water Tribe, which was once a big city. Our father's off fighting in the war. My mother was taken prisoner and killed when I was young. In this time of war, food is scarce.
Katara!
My jokes are way funnier than this.
Those who are in charge of others have a responsibility. It's time we show the Fire Nation that we believe in our beliefs as much as they believe in theirs.
I'd rather get punched in the face than watch The Last Airbender. I can say that because I actually did get punched in the face on the same day that I first saw this movie. And even in the immediate aftermath of getting jumped, I said to myself, this isn't even the worst thing that's happened to me today. Because watching someone mutilate something you love is worse than most physical pain you can feel. I distinctly remember getting worried about this film during the opening crawl. I mean, prosperity and peace filled our days is just a repeat of the first line, all was right in the world, isn't it? And hang on a second, why are the Water Tribe and Earth Kingdoms listed as nations when the Air Nomads get their own separate designation? This is the most nitpicky I'm going to get in this review, but I mean, did anybody proofread this?
We believe in our beliefs as much as they believe in theirs.
God damn it, M. Night. So this film is an adaptation of a TV show which I regard as one of the best things ever. Everything was right there. Great story, great characters, and they still screwed it up. So how did this happen? Most people say it's M. Night Shyamalan's fault. Even M. Night Shyamalan.
I wasn't up to the task.
You could put that on a plaque, but is he the only person to blame? And why is it so bad anyway? I know why, and I'm going to tell you in detail. So if you're like me and you feel like you've been punched in the face every single time you're reminded of this movie's existence, consider this review a weird sort of therapy. I know I certainly am. The dialogue in this film is so boring. There is never a moment when the characters feel like real people, because every line is wasted on generic explanatory dialogue.
As you know, I conducted a raid on the Great Library, which most said didn't even exist.
Get on with it.
The movie spends so much time making sure you don't get confused by the mythology that it never actually engages you emotionally. And Katara is absolutely the worst offender.
Father's off fighting in the war.
Shut up! Just shut up, you idiot!
Aang airbended a sphere around them and ice formed and...
Shut up!
We moved from town to town in the earth.
Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!
We arrived at the northern...
Shut up! Will you shut up?
My brother and the princess became friends right away.
Hey, lady!
Stop interrupting the movie to explain things in voiceover. That's my job. They explain the elements, the avatar, the spirit world, the war, Zuko's backstory, Katara's dead mom, their absent father, all of it with one character just saying it straight to the camera or in voiceover. It gets to the point where this movie stops being a movie. It's its own Wikipedia page. So how do you do exposition properly? Or in other words, how do you make boring stuff not boring? It's one of the biggest challenges there is when it comes to writing a screenplay, but here are a few solutions. Number one, visually. In Mad Max Fury Road, the culture of the Citadel is implied mostly through visuals or through direct actions. At no point is there a teenage girl explaining things in a voiceover. If Shyamalan and Paramount had made Mad Max, it would have sounded like this.
Immortan Joe ruled over the Citadel with an iron fist. His loyal servants, who called themselves war boys, did as he commanded. They believed that they would live again in the afterlife, which is called Valhalla. We traveled for many miles on the war rig. Nux and Capable became friends right away.
Katara tells us about the death of her mother almost immediately in this film. So what's another way to get that information out there visually? Well, here's the opening scene from the Karate Kid remake. Yeah, that's right. And 10 seconds ago you were like, he's referencing the Karate Kid remake? You forgot about this scene, didn't you? Number 2, through debate and drama.
Just wanted to see what kind of tests you're doing on your own every night.
Exposition is just a fancy word for backstory. And backstory doesn't have to be dry and boring. It can be the story. You can make uncovering a crucial piece of a character's history the goal of a scene, like it is here in Inception. In this scene, Cobb and Ariadne delve deeper and deeper into Cobb's memories, and we learn all about his life with Maul.
It's the only way I can still dream.
But what makes it good is that the person giving the exposition does not want to say anything.
Well, this has nothing to do with you.
This has everything to do with me. You've asked me to share dreams with you.
Not these. These are my dreams.
Cobb is desperate to keep his secrets a secret, but Ariadne keeps pushing. It's only through a great deal of debate and drama that we get any answers. In The Last Airbender, everyone is just way too eager to tell you their entire life story. In Inception, what could have been rudimentary dialogue is instead a scene chock full of revelatory, emotional moments.
My dreams were still together. These are moments I regret. They're memories that I have to change. I realize I'm gonna regret this moment, that I need to see their faces one last time.
You said we'd be together! You said we'd grow old together!
Come back for you. I promise.
The backstory is the story. Number 3, in an action scene. In the first Terminator movie, Reese fills us in with literally everything there is to know about the entire franchise during a chase scene. We find out who Reese is, we find out who the Terminator is and what he's trying to do. We learn about the whole time traveling business.
I'm Reese. It's assigned to protect you. You've been targeted for termination.
And not only that, but director James Cameron takes a second to do some world building as well, explaining why the Terminator bleeds.
Underneath, it's a hyperalloy combat chassis, but outside, it's living human tissue.
Look, Reese, I don't know what you want.
Pay attention!
This is some hard sci-fi stuff that arguably does not need to be explained. But when you sandwich it inside of a chase scene, we're paying attention to the action of the scene first, because it's entertaining, and absorbing the information second. For several minutes, pretty much the only one who's talking is Reese. But inside that, we've got Arnold commandeering a police car, you've got them driving on a sidewalk, you got them escaping a second police car, Sarah biting Reese's hand. So maybe after Aang gets out of the ice sphere, you could have a chase scene where Zuko tries to capture him, and while all of that is happening, Katara or Sokka can explain who the Fire Nation is and why they're at war, or whatever you need to. Instead, every time exposition needs to be given, one character just stands up and gives it all in one giant, ugly paragraph. Action scenes only have action in them. Dialogue scenes only have exposition in them. It's dreadful. Number 4. From authority. Sometimes there's just too much stuff to explain and the movie just needs to sit the audience down and lecture us. But who is giving the lecture matters just as much as what they're saying. When Katara does it, it dulls her relationship with Aang, because what she's saying has nothing to do with them in particular. She could be saying this to anyone right now.
They haven't been able to conquer big cities like Ba Sing Se, but They're making plans, I'm sure.
A solution is to give the exposition in a setting it is natural to. So maybe your characters are at a boring government-type meeting. The audience doesn't expect this to be super exciting, but we understand that something important is going to be explained, and we'll listen in. You know, so long as the scene is short and not the whole movie! This could be like a military briefing, or a training scene, or a boardroom meeting where someone of authority delivers the information. To be clear, this isn't the best solution, and it can definitely be overused, like if you had news broadcasts do all of the exposition in a film, but it is one strategy to use when you've got no better alternative. The Harry Potter franchise is actually really good at this by making great use of its classroom scenes. Every time you enter a classroom, you know you're going to learn something important to the plot, but that there'll probably be some hijinks or some character moments to spice things up. Number 5, just cast Christopher Lloyd. No, really. Get Doc Brown in your movie. And then even if you make every single one of his lines just him explaining everything, we'll still love it.
You turn the time circuits on. That's why his watch is exactly 1 minute behind mine. We run some industrial strength electrical cable from the top of the clock tower down, spinning it over the street between these two lampposts. This readout tells you where you're going, this one tells you where you are, this one tells you where you were. This is what makes time travel possible. Thereby sending 1.21 gigawatts into the flux capacitor. You input your destination time on this keypad. Meanwhile, we've outfitted the time vehicle with this big pole and hook.
I'm really glad he explained the hook. In all seriousness, what I mean by this is that if you have a really charismatic or eccentric character, then we'll enjoy it even if they are reading from a Wikipedia page. So give that character all the explainy stuff you can't fit anywhere else.
But there aren't any charismatic characters in this movie.
You're right, my orcish friend, but if you've never seen the TV show, then let me introduce you to the one and only King Boomy!
There are options in fighting called jig. I'm the most powerful earthbender you'll ever see. Neutral jig is the key to earthbending. All old people know each other. Don't you know that? You must master the 4 elements and confront the Fire Lord.
It is a travesty that King Boomy wasn't in this film. If he was in the story, you could just have him give the audience a crazy, kooky lesson on the spirit world, the Avatar, or whatever else you need, and then get on with the fun of the film. But if you ever remake this movie, Paramount, don't cast Christopher Lloyd as King Boomy. You've already got enough problems with whitewashing.
Hey, I wonder who's making that new Ghost in the Shell movie with Scarlett Johansson. Those racist suckers.
Stories are almost always about change. We meet a character who is set in their ways, something crazy happens to them, and then they grow into a different person. I'm describing like 99% of good movies right now. There's Nightcrawler and then there's everything else. But in order for that change to mean something at the end, the character needs to be consistent before that moment of transformation. Of course, the TV show does this perfectly with every character. Katara is an overly motherly young girl struggling with the death of her own mother, who becomes a powerful woman. Sokka is a routinely ridiculed class clown who finds himself in his father's shadow, but grows up to be a serious military commander capable of growing facial hair for reals. The movie squanders all of this in their first scene. So Katara and Sokka are walking around when Sokka thinks he sees something under the ice and starts banging on it. What does this tell us about Sokka? Well, since he's smashing the very ice they're standing on, we start to think, okay, this guy is reckless, unafraid, maybe a little bit stupid. Then something weird happens. A big orb floats out above the surface and they have a decision to make, to hit the sphere or not. Now since Sokka was just wailing away at the ice, we'd assumed that he'd be the one to impulsively crack open the sphere. Nope. Now suddenly he's being all cautious while Katara, who previously tried to get Sokka to stop, decides to be reckless. So are they both reckless or are they both cautious? What's the character dynamic? Usually when you have pairs of characters in a film, they have opposing characteristics so that there will always be some sort of conflict between them no matter what kind of situation you put them in. Butch Cassidy is easygoing. The Sundance Kid is vigilant. Buzz follows orders. Woody breaks the rules. No one messes with Jules Winfield. Vincent Vega literally can't even go to the bathroom without all hell breaking loose.
I'm gonna take a piss. I'm gonna take a shit. Everybody be cool, this is a robbery!
And that's why Katara and Sokka work so well on the show, or why the writers have temperamental Zuko travel around with a pothead. So something weird happens again. Katara and Sokka find a boy and a strange mythical beast in the sphere, and once again they Freaky Friday their personalities. Oh, is that reference too old now? Am I old? Did I get old? Once again they change up their personalities. Sokka walks right up to this enormous creature he has never seen before and decides to poke it. Okay, so back to being stupid risk taker, I see. Fast forward a bit and the Fire Nation shows up. Oh no! Sokka wants to fight them, but Katara cautions him.
Sokka, don't.
Okay, violent and unstable, cautious thinker. Fine, but then 2 seconds later, Katara is about to go on a rampage until Sokka has to calm her down.
Katara, don't.
Sokka, don't.
Katara, don't.
Sokka, don't.
So wait a second, which one is the aggressively unstable murderer again?
What would you do if they try taking me away?
I'd kill them all.
When did Sokka turn into Anakin Skywalker?
I killed them all. I'd kill them all. I killed them all.
Oh wait, never mind. Sokka is comic relief. It's cool, everyone. The sociopath made it funny. Ruining characters like these? It's like painting a smiley face on the Mona Lisa, you cinematic vandal. The whole rest of the first act is dumb Dumbledore. Okay, so Aang...
Are you the Avatar, Aang?
Pronounced Aang, you illiterate wanker.
Aang's been taken, and here's the perfect moment for the movie's first burst of action, and...
This is just something I need.
Sit down.
Oh, you've gotta be joking. We're gonna listen to this old woman's stories before going to save the guy that just got kidnapped? Is that what we're doing?
There hasn't been a waterbender in the Southern Water Tribe since my friend Hama was taken away.
What does this have anything to do with anything?
Once, a long time ago, the spirit world kept balance over us.
Hey Grandma, we know! We read the opening crawl too! One of the first things critics will say of a good movie is that it is well-paced. That's usually hard to quantify, but if you want to know what the exact reverse opposite of well-paced is, just watch this scene.
What is the spirit world, Grandma?
Well, it's not a place made up of things you can touch, but it exists nonetheless.
Then how come Aang isn't floating in space when he's in the spirit world? I mean, his feet are touching the spirit ground, right? Did anybody proofread this? And what does Grandma know? She's never been to the spirit world, right? Why are we listening to this old woman's religious beliefs now?
It is filled with the most amazing forms of dazzling creatures.
You know you can't just pile on synonyms of amazing and have us be amazed. You know that, right?
With his mastery of the 4 elements, he will begin to change hearts. And it is in the heart that all wars are won.
Wait, what? What evidence does she have of this? The war has been going on for 100 years. Unless she's older than that, she has never personally witnessed a war ending before. And what war ever ended by changing people's hearts? I mean, the only war that's even associated with the phrase changing hearts and minds is the one that, you know, America lost. But leaving all of those problems aside, this scene still bothers me because it completely misses the mark of what it should be doing. I mean, shouldn't Grandma have shown some sort of resistance to them leaving? Something that would get us emotionally involved. Give the characters a hard choice between their loved one and doing something altruistic. This woman's daughter was murdered by the Fire Nation. Now her only 2 grandchildren in the world come up to her and are like, hey, we're gonna go on a dangerous mission to help some guy we just met by infiltrating a Fire Nation ship single-handedly. And Grandma is just like, great, pack a lunch. I mean, is she a robot? Are you a robot? So let's jump to another nonsensical scene, the Avatar test, where Iroh and Zuko try to figure out if Aang is the Avatar by placing the elements in front of him. Is this implying that the Avatar is always bending the elements? Why doesn't this happen at any other point in the movie? Is this like a special rock or magic water? Why only here? So then Aang escapes without any resistance, and Katara and Sokka are tired of being the only white people in town, so they all hop onto Appa, and then Katara starts spouting off some stuff we already know.
Aang flew us to his home.
We know, you decided that before you left. Let's hurry this up.
He told us how he left there in a storm on Appa.
We already saw him tell you that.
and got forced into the ocean where they almost drowned.
He said that too.
Aang airbended a sphere around them and ice formed, and he couldn't remember anything after that.
We know, we were there when you cracked it open. Did anyone proofread this shit? And I guess Aang isn't the only one who can't remember anything. You just gave us a whole paragraph of information that the movie has already shown us. Are you gonna tell us about the spirit world again? Or how many elements there are? But amazingly, that rounds out the first act of the movie. And what do we know so far? Well, we're allegedly on an adventure to do something. We don't really know yet, despite all of the horrible expositional dialogue. And that our characters include Aang, a kid we know nothing about, Sokka, a fearful yet paradoxically hot-tempered wannabe murderer, and Katara, a teenage girl with Alzheimer's who won't shut up.
Is it okay if you tell me your name?
You told us what his name was literally 30 seconds ago! Thanks for watching, everyone. Click here for part 2, where I take a closer look at the directorial decisions made on the film. And of course, don't forget to like and subscribe, and most importantly, let me know what you thought about the movie and this review in the comments below. See you in part 2.